taking action for you this morning on TV 20 Detroit starts right now.
What's happening in entertainment? From Tinseltown to the Big Apple, this is your weekly entertainment magazine with Greg Dunmore of PulseBeat.tv.
Pulse of a new generation.
Welcome to another edition of the Emmy-nominated PulseBeat with Greg Dunmore. Any city is always made more vibrant because of their parks. And Detroit is noted for Belle Isle Park, which is closer to downtown. But on the west side of Detroit, there's a gorgeous park by the name of Rouge Park. So if you're from Detroit or if you're visiting Detroit, you want to know the splendor of this park. But we're here right now because something that will be history-making is about to take place.
Welcome to Rouge Park on behalf of the Friends of Rouge Park. We're the organization. We're the organization that's been stewarding this park for 22 years, and we are thrilled about this new statue and gathering in Rouge Park. For those of you not familiar with Rouge Park, it's Michigan's largest city park, larger than New York Central Park, and half again the size of Belle Isle. The Detroit Aero Modelers is one of the oldest park steward organizations in the city. They adopted this field in 1974 and have maintained it ever since. They were a founding member of the Friends of Rouge Park, and they came up with the idea of naming this field after Tuskegee Airman Alex Jefferson, and a community gathering place that will remind future generations of the courage it took to defend our country, even in the face of racism and prejudice. A big thank you to Rochelle Riley for making this happen.
I want to give a special thanks to my friends Cynthia and Edsel Ford, who said yes when I asked them to help honor a hero.
So I want to say a special thanks to Rochelle, to the mayor, to everyone that's here today, especially all the members of the Red Tails who have served our country with great honor. Thank you.
And finally, I just want to say they fought for my freedom, for our freedom, for my family's freedom, and forever I will be grateful for that. And it is just such a wonderful opportunity to be able to stand in front of you today. It's a real honor for me to be here. I love meeting members of the family. It's been wonderful, and all of you who have served our country. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
We're here today to talk about another American hero, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson. He was a man who not only fought for this country in the war, he fought for civil rights. He fought to change this country, and he did it from the beginning. As a teenager in Detroit, he defied the teacher's advice at Chancey High School and insisted on taking college prep courses as an African-American student. And then after going to Clark College in Atlanta and getting his degree, he defied everybody's advice and repeatedly applied to be a U.S. Air Force fighter pilot. His credentials were so undeniable that after repeated efforts, he was accepted into the distinguished Tuskegee Airmen.
Their story began 3 years earlier when 13 recruits reported for training in Tuskegee, Alabama. To date, no black man had been allowed to serve as a pilot in the United States military, a policy they were determined to change. Training was intense, and the men welcomed it. They knew they were making history. A new unit was formed, the 99th Pursuit Squadron, better known as the Tuskegee Airmen, the first African-American combat pilots in U.S. history.
As I mentioned, the Red Tails who flew in the air were not the only ones who helped win the war. So please welcome City Historian Jamon Jordan to add a little context.
The mayor has given you really the background of Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson. We lost him at 100 years old, just before he turned 101. And maybe many of you know him, know Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson in many different ways. Maybe you know him as a teacher or principal, or advisor at Duffield, or Halley. I attended Halley. Patton Gill, DSA, Davis Aerospace. Maybe you know him from that history. Of course, we know he was born in Detroit in 1921. His parents were Alexander and Jane Jefferson. His great-grandfather was one of the founders of Morehouse College. Got some Morehouse folks in the house. He went to Kraft, and then Munger, and then Chadsey. And as we know, he was the only black student to fight to have a college prep curriculum. Mayor has informed us of this important history he's already fighting in high school. Went to Clark College, which is now Clark Atlanta University, got his degree in biology and chemistry, joined the military in 1942. 1943, he went to Tuskegee and became a part of the 332nd Fighter Group, the Red Tails. 1944, we know he was shot down in France, and he became a prisoner of war, the Germans. And even though he was fighting against Nazis, fascists, they treated him the same as the other Allied prisoners, but when he was freed by the U.S. Army, that was when the U.S. Army subjected him to Jim Crow. So he's fighting both fascism abroad and racism in the United States military and at home.
But I have to say, Lieutenant Colonel Jefferson and the Rouge Park and the Tuskegee Airmen have been a part of my life since I married John Dingell. And the history with John Dingell goes back not to the man I loved, and you all have, when he died, you made sure I was never alone, but goes back to his father.
But the only piece that hasn't been said between the mayor and the historian is how everybody wanted them to be their escort because they kept everybody safe. And the Tuskegee Airmen had the best safety record during World War II. It was such an incredible fight.
What's incredibly important during this time, I think, in our nation is that it's a good reminder as we do this important, beautiful work that we do to honor everybody that served our country here in Detroit and honor our history, is reminding folks that Black history is American history. Again, I had the honor of being able to, with my wonderful colleague, Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, and the 118th Congressional Journal in the Congressional Record will be Legacy of Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson into the Congressional Record. Into our history. We also have the granddaughter.
Now is the moment we've been waiting for. So Mayor Duggan, our congressional representatives, the Jefferson immediate family, Airman Stevenson, Austin Brantley is going to join us to unveil the statue.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back. More with PulseBeat with Greg Dunmore.
PulseBeat.
Behind me is the door of no return. Now, when our ancestors were being taken out of this place, the reason why they name it door of no return is that they have it in mind that these people are going and they will come here no more. Thank you, man. Some of our ancestors who were taken out of this place through the door of no return, they exhumed their skeleton from Jamaica and the US, brought them in through the same door that they said the door of no return, meaning that our ancestors who have come, who they brought their skeleton, have paved a way for all our brothers and sisters in the diaspora and everywhere to pretend to this place. People's Castle, Elmina Castle, and other castles. Today, this place is a World Heritage Monument by UNESCO. We are inviting each and everyone, everywhere, especially our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. This is for you. Please come over, come and experience. We are inviting all of you. Kaminian Names, and this is Charles Kobna. I'm a tour guide. You are welcome. Our hands are open. We are just waiting for you. God richly bless you. Ashe.
The history-making Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson was a fascinating man. Not only was he a consummate pilot, but he was also a man that was very opinionated. There were 2 movies that were made, one with Denzel Washington and another movie that he had very strong feelings about. And we had a chance to talk to him in 2014.
This is also for Lieutenant Colonel Jefferson. The movie Red Tails, of course, received a lot of attention. And there's supposed to be a follow-up, so I want to know your impressions of the movie and what did you like, didn't like, and what about the follow-up?
Number 1, the latest movie, Red Tails. Nothing in that movie is true.
6 o'clock.
Period. It's Hollywood.
Let's get them! Where are the damn fighters going? Is there anything left of our escort? Mayday! Mayday! Prepare to bail out!
Period. It's Hollywood. When you come back off of a mission, 6.5 hours long, you're tired as hell. We don't get together, put our arms around each other and yell, we fight, we fight.
To the last man, we fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight!
That's only done in hockey. When a guy makes a goal in hockey, they all get together, wrap their reps, bingo. You will never fly across a house, see a pretty woman, and blows her a kiss. And then she returns the favor. That's Hollywood. I hate it because before a mission, the leader, the hero of the movie, goes out to a shed, takes a bottle, and gets drunk. What does it tell the world about a black man? He has to be drunk to be a hero. See, you don't realize it, I didn't realize it, until we took a bunch of high school kids to the movie. And after the Q&A afterwards, the kid raises his hand, well, Mr. Jefferson, was your flight leader drunk when you got shot down? Never thought about alcohol being such an impression on young people's minds. At the same time, there was a movie called Flight, Denzel Washington. He did the impossible. He flew an airliner with people on it upside down.
Shit! Oh, Lord Jesus, we're inverted! Brian, listen, we're level. We can maintain altitude like this.
What was he under the influence of? Cocaine and alcohol.
Captain Whitaker, on the 3 nights before the accident, October 11th...
October 11th, October 12th, and 13th, and 14th, I was intoxicated. I drank all of those days. I drank in excess.
On the morning of the accident.
I was drunk. I'm drunk now. I'm drunk right now, Miss Block. Because I'm an alcoholic.
A black man has to be a fool to be a hero. Now, the first movie by Denzel Washington was only 10% false. Mrs. Roosevelt could not have flown in the airplane, but that's better. But otherwise, the world still goes on. My impressions, George Lucas made his $15 or $20 million, that's all. That's it.
To their children.
Come on, Junior, fail!
Because I live in Detroit, I was able to get tuition-free college through the Detroit Promise. I feel very fortunate working with the Detroit Promise. They were able to afford me so many opportunities. I'm currently studying media production and journalism at University of Michigan Dearborn. I'm looking to take my talents further into the production industry, short films. I love working with people here, and this is where I want to be. And that's why I'm Detroit for life.
What's happening in entertainment with Greg Dunmore of PulseBeat.tv.
If you like what we're doing, please tell a friend, or if you want to see what we've done again, go to PulseBeatGlobal.com. That's PulseBeatGlobal.com. You can also go to our PulseBeat TV YouTube channel and you can revisit what we're doing. And once again, you can tell everybody that we're doing something that is so exciting that they wouldn't want to miss it. Remember PulseBeatGlobal.com or the YouTube channel PulseBeat TV. Thanks for telling the world about it. Although flying a plane as a pilot is a serious endeavor, it's lots of fun, and not just for the fellas. Girls just want, I should say, ladies just want to have fun too.
I was the first African-American female to graduate from the flight tech program at Kent State University. I was the first African-American female pilot hired by Northwest Airlines. And I was the first African-American female pilot to become a captain for Delta Airlines. I'm a captain on Airbus 320. I love international flying. Delta just bought some Airbus 350s. It's a beautiful brand new jet, and I would love to be a captain on the 350 one day and fly international. I loved flying international when I was the first officer on the 757 and 767, and I'd like to go back to doing that, but in the big seat in the big plane. I think as a young woman, I was really lucky because I was just always fascinated with airplanes. I always thought how neat that they even get off the ground. And I just had parents that never discouraged me. And I even had a teacher in high school that had an airplane and mentioned it and was able to go on a flight with him and a couple of my friends. And I was just hooked after that. And watching the Blue Angels fly at Cleveland Burke Lakefront Airport, it was just something that I thought, wow, how neat to be able to do that. I didn't learn until I actually decided that I really did want to be a pilot, that my dentist had been a Tuskegee Airman. Theodore Mason was my dentist in Cleveland, Ohio, and I remember when I was talking about aviation, my dad said, you know, Dr. Mason was a Tuskegee Airman. And I said, what? I had no idea. So that was, maybe he was planning little things as he was cleaning my teeth over the years, little, you know, subliminal messages or something, but that's just something. There are so many of those guys that came back from fighting in the war, and they're just all brilliant people. That's why they were in the program in the first place, and they're really the hidden heroes, you know, in our world. I think that the most important thing for young people to realize is that whatever you want to do, you can do it. Find somebody that's doing it and ask them how they did it. And just get some tips. And your path may not be the same, but at least you're getting some knowledge and some education. And just realize that if it's a passion for you, that you really should go for it, because there are always going to be tough times. And when you're doing something you really love, then it's easy to go to work.
Without Project Clean Slate, there is no telling where I would be right now.
It gave him back his life, because once he got the felony, it seemed like life was over.
being unemployed, being depressed, being a burden. Project Clean Slate helped wipe those things away. I can't say thank you enough. I am now able to work for a reputable airline. Detroit had my back, all because I live in Detroit.
PulseBeat. How many of you have been to River Days? Anybody been to River Days? A few of us, but if you haven't been to River Days, it's a festival that the city of Detroit has down on the river. They bring in performing acts, musical. Well, they hire us to do an air show. We're the only African-American organization to do an air show since before World War II.
I thought it was really great. Yeah, I love seeing all the planes. Like, I've never seen like planes like these in real life. Like, I've just seen this in like the movies. So it's really nice. Like, the plane behind me is so like that's crazy. Like, I've never seen that before. And like the fact that people can just fly, like learn how to fly these, or like learn how to fly a plane. Like, that's crazy to me.
The tails on our plane were painted big red so that anybody the United States Air Force recognized who was flying those planes. And they knew if the tail was painted red that it was the Tuskegee Airmen, who weren't known as the Tuskegee Airmen then. They were the 332nd Fighter Corps. They didn't become known as the Tuskegee Airmen until a fellow by the name of Charles Francis in 1972 decided to, and that was a couple of years, that was maybe 10 or 15 years after the war, decided to write a book about the African-American pilots in World War II. And for one name, he knew that they all got their training in Tuskegee, Alabama. So he called the book The Tuskegee Airman.
I want to thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you so much for all the things that you've done for this country, and specifically to be a role model. I really appreciate this time with you. I feel honored to have the opportunity to even talk with you. And thank you so much. And I can't wait till you celebrate that 99th birthday.
Harry Stewart is special in that he shot down 3 German aircraft. And then he came home and participated in the 1949 gunnery meet. That is significant. We celebrate Top Gun through Tom Cruise and Top Gun movie, but the first Top Guns were Tuskegee Airmen, African Americans, 1949. They won the competition and were prevented because of segregation from going to the awards ceremony. They ushered him into the back of the hotel. They took a picture with the trophy, and that's what you'll see on our website and other websites. The 4 of them standing next to a trophy. This is an awesome responsibility and an honor to curate the Tuskegee Airman National Museum.
And let me just say before I begin, it's kind of like a confluence of ideas and service. Because as I'm sitting here looking at Congresswoman Dingell, I am reminded that I have all the rights available to me as the first generation of my family to be able to have that because of the sacrifices that the Dingells made. Because he was one of the final votes for the Civil Rights Act in Washington, D.C. He literally put his career and his life on the line so that I could have the freedoms that I enjoy today. I would not be here without that legacy, and I thank you dearly. If you are looking for a person whose name is the embodiment of courage and honor and valor and discipline and service and fidelity and excellence and steely-eyed fierceness for truth, justice, equality, and the American name, that person whose name you would mention is Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson. Whether he was fighting for freedom in the European military theater or for equality in 1944 at Selfridge Air Base for the Tuskegee Airmen to be admitted to the Officers Club. And a year before, my father, the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young, first African-American mayor, longest serving, and the baddest man on the planet, if I do say so myself. All due respect to the current mayor, all due respect, all due respect, I'll just say. And that is my objective opinion. A year before my father led the Freeman Field Mutiny in 1945 as a Tuskegee Airman bombardier. These men in the Double V campaign fought against fascism and Nazism abroad, and fought against segregation and discrimination at home, and won and were victorious against both. Lieutenant Jefferson was a man who led other great men. And it takes mental toughness and a strong spine to be one of the first black Top Guns. But then to fight for black airmen to be allowed to receive equal treatment by protesting the racism in the Army in 1944. That was the reason why my father was a bombardier and not a pilot. He said some things about that. This is a G-rated show. I ain't gonna repeat what he said. He said some stuff. He passed the pilot's test, but racism in the U.S. Army would limit him to become a bombardier. It is my honor to have known Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson, and I was able to spend time with him talking about my father and black leadership. And I also just wanted to say on a side note, this is the man who won 15 military awards, including the Congressional Medal of Honor. Hardly mental intentional life and accomplishments, but yet he was the Detroiter, determined to set the example for our children, our next generation of leaders. Elementary school science teacher, and then as an assistant principal in Detroit of public schools. And I just wanted to say, you can lose a job, you can lose a house, you can lose a love, but the gift of knowledge and education was given to you, no one can take it away. That's what he gave to us, a gift we can never repay him for, his education and his service. More than anything, he was a friend, because a friend in need is a friend indeed. Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson, Top Gun leader, a friend, and prisoner of war, wounded in action, lived to talk about his experiences, and a man who cared about Detroit, its people, and its families. Long live the memory, the deeds, and the name of Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson. Thank you, guys.